Hello and welcome to ISSC421 Computer Network and Security. I'm Cliff Craneville and I'll be your instructor for the next 8 weeks. In this short video we're going to have a modest course overview, probably about 10 minutes, maybe just a little bit longer, about what you can expect for the next 8 weeks. I'm going to go over some of the features of this course, and we're going to look at how you as a student can best get through this course and survive the next 8 weeks and get on with the rest of your studies here at AMU. Alright, so first off, let's start off with the course syllabus. The course syllabus is going to be your go-to document for everything that's related to the course. So if it's something that you got a question of that regarding the course, such as, hey, what's the final project about, or hey, what's the grading scale, or what's the schedule going to be like for the next 8 weeks, all that can be answered in the course syllabus. So that should be your go-to document. All right, you shouldn't have any problem with that. It's right there. It's available. Okay. All right, so make sure that you use the course syllabus, and if I were you, I'd go ahead and just save yourself a copy of it to your local desktop, perhaps even print it out, and you'll be able to have it for an instant reference for this course. All right, now after that gets done, we want to go into the announcements, and we're going to talk about messaging, and we're going to talk about the forums, and I'll talk about a few other things. Right, this is the course syllabus, and as I told you earlier, it's 11 pages, so it's got a lot of information in here, and it talks about all the options that you're going to have for this course, which I'm going to talk about in just a second. What's expected as far as the written assignments, okay, and that's for week 2, 4, 7, and 8. Some of these written assignments, nothing more than a simple sentence, but some of them require a little bit more work than that. So let's talk about the forums. All right, in this course we have options. I'm giving students options to either complete the forum discussions or to complete a hands-on lab. Right, you don't have to do both, but you have to do one or the other, with the exception of week 1 and week 8. In week 8, whether or not you take the virtual install lab options, that's regardless, you still have to participate in the discussion. For weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, you have to do one or the other. You don't have to do both. All right, you can do the discussions, or you can do the forum lab. All right, now this here is the main forum page, and there is a glitch inside of Sakia that prevents the viewing of the full description if you leave the main forum page. For instance, if I go over to the next level, and let's say I want to go into introductions, well, I'll click on introductions, but when I get over there, I won't be able to open up the full description. There's a glitch inside of Sakia that it pops open and it closes right away. To view the full description on any of the forums, you have to be on the forum main page, and this is for IE and this is for Firefox. Okay, the new browser that come out of Windows 10, that's not supported. That's the Edge browser. Okay, that may work, it may not work. I don't use Windows 10 yet, but if you're using Windows 10 and you're going to use that Edge browser, there may be some problems, not with just the forum, but also the online labs, the Toolwire labs. Okay, so again, if you want to view the full description, you must be on the forum main page, and then it will open up and it will stay open. All right, in week 1 we have the introductions. This is a mandatory posting for everybody, regardless if you're going to take the lab option week 1 or not. Okay, now there's 2 parts to this. There's your bio and your greeting that you're going to post for everybody to read, and then we have an APA online tutorial and how to recognize plagiarism. This is for your benefit, all right, because if you decide to write a paper in weeks 7 and 8, you don't want to come up hot on the Turnitin report. That is to say, come back with a high score, and because you didn't understand plagiarism. All right, so make sure that you complete both of these and then post your proof of concept or proof of completion to the discussion forum in either combining part 1 and part 2, or you can post 2 different parts. You can do your bio and then you can come back and you can post part 2 of the completion of the APA online tutorial and how to recognize plagiarism. Okay, all right, so that's going to be your week 1 requirement. If you decide that you want to do the form labs starting in week 1, well, you're going to have to pretty much come back. Let me close this hype here. Okay, this is the rubric. I'm going to cover that real quick. This is the rubric for the introductions. Okay, this is the rubric that's posted for all of the discussion topics. If you decide that you don't want to do the forum labs, then you can partake in the weekly discussions. Okay, one or the other, not both. All right, so I'm going to hide that. Now, in week 1, if you're going to partake in the forum lab option, that is to say, starting in week 2, you don't want to partake in the discussion, then you're going to have an install of Kali. Okay, again, you can read this description here, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about what the requirements are for completing the Kali lab install. All right, I'm in the process of changing this up right now from VirtualBox to VM Player. All right, because there's some serious issues with the latest version of Kali, which is the 5.012 version. That's kind of a sore point with me right now. It looks like the kernel and VirtualBox are not playing nice together. So I might be changing this up with step-by-steps for using the VM player. I'll post that in plenty of time so people can have access to the lab. All right, but all you're going to do is create a virtual machine. And so there's going to be 3 options you're going to have here. Well, 3 things I want you to learn. One is how to install a virtual machine, because that's real world. You're going to have to know that if you're going to work on network security, or if you're going to work in technology, you're going to have to understand virtualization. Number 2, I want you to be able to use Linux, or at least get familiarize yourself with Linux and the Linux command line. Now that won't happen until about week 3, when you start getting comfortable with typing in the commands in Linux and using the command line. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks. Then after that, you settle down and you get used to it. All right. So that's 2. The other thing is using Kali, and that is a security suite. A suite of security tools that is all combined together, and it's a very large download, and I'll talk to you about downloading that in week 2 or week 1 when I post the video on how to download and install Kali. All right, you're also going to do a reflection, well, about 150 word reflection with screenshots, and you're going to answer the following questions. All you have to do is just copy and paste this into your Word document along with your images of the lab completion. Okay, and you'll be good to go. Now, Mac users and Linux users can also partake in this. All right, there's also the option for Mac users and Linux users. Okay, all right. Now, in each week I have videos. These videos help to drive the discussions forward for the most part, so make sure you watch those. Okay, now starting in week 2, we have the forum lab, where we're also going to install the victim machine, which is a Windows XP Service Pack 2 machine that is left wide open, and that's going to be your victim, and you're going to attack that using the Kali tools. All right, and there'll be labs each week, such as using Nessus to scan the victim for vulnerabilities. We'll use another scanner the next following week called NextPose. Then we're going to get into information gathering using Maltego and FOFOCA. and then we're going to get into VPN labs, where you actually create an open source VPN, and then we're going to get into Metasploit, which is what we're going to use to exploit the vulnerabilities that we discover. And then in our week 8 forum lab, and I'll repost that, that is going to be, I haven't posted that yet, but I will have it posted. That's another very in-depth Metasploit lab. All right, so you're going to be learning a lot over these next 8 weeks, regardless if you take the lab option or you take the forum posting option. It's up to you. All right, so again, you have options for the weekly forums. You can, after week 1, you can either post to the discussion, or you can complete a forum lab. Now, the forum labs have nothing to do with the online labs. Those are 2 separate assignments. The online labs are Toolwire labs. Those are required. All right, those are posted under the assignments, the Toolwire labs. The forum labs are posted under the forum. All right, so they're 2 different animals. Don't get them confused. All right, now we're going to go up inside of the assignments, and we're going to take a look at that real quick. For the assignments in this course, we have 4 of them, but you can opt out of most of the writing assignments and do also a lab, take a lab option as opposed to writing another paper. So we have the weekly topic section. Now, this one here is nothing more than you telling me the topic of your paper, and everybody needs to respond to this, whether you do the lab option or not. There's no lab option here because it's just 1 sentence. You tell me your topic is going to be best practices for network security. Well, that's all you got to do. You post that, copy that, for instance, or whatever your topic is, and with your response, you're just going to copy and paste that into the text editor, into the assignment, and I will give you credit for doing your topic selection, okay, for week 2. That's all you got to do for week 2. All right, now we go back over here to the assignment list, and our next assignment is the outline in week 4, and this is where we start having some lab options. So you can go up here underneath the week 4 outline, and you can see what the requirement is. This is what this is how much of your grade it counts for, and this is the requirements. Okay, and then underneath that we have a lab option. This is installing a snort using Ubuntu, all right, or Onion, I'm sorry. For this lab option, students install a VM of Security Onion, an open source IDS, and configure the IDS and look at how log files can be accessed in different ways. Okay, so that's going to be your week 4 lab option. Okay, installing Security Onion, which is another distro of Linux. So again, you're going to create another virtual machine. You're going to use the Security Onion, which is a distro for open source IDS, and you're going to configure that and see how that actually is used for identifying attempts to access the network. Okay, okay, now that's your lab option for week 4, or you can write the outline. Okay, all right, okay, so you have options in the forums, and you have options for the writing assignments in this course. Now in week 7 you have the final project, which is due. Okay, well, that's your research paper, but you also have a lab option in week 7. Okay, so in week 7 again you have a lab option. So with that being said, make sure you either do one or the other. All right, and this is the requirements for the project, the project paper in week 7, or you can install and configure the snort, which is another IDS IPS that's a little bit more difficult to work with, but hey, you know, it's easy enough. The lab is doable. Okay, again, now This is all real world stuff. You're going to be asked to install Snort for some networks, or to manage Snort, or use Wireshark and all this other fun stuff. This is all hands-on, all right? You're not going to be able to sit down at the interview when you leave this school and say that, hey, I had a GPA of 4.0 and I sure wrote a lot of papers. I know a lot of theory. That's not what the prospective employer wants to hear. Because they're not going to ask you about your GPA. They're going to ask you, hey, have you ever worked with Linux? Have you ever created a virtual machine? Do you know how to create a virtual machine of Linux? And are you familiar with Nessus? Have you ever scanned a network for vulnerabilities? Have you ever tried to exploit a network that had vulnerabilities using Metasploit or Core Impact or some other risk assessment tool? All right, so those are the kind of questions they're going to ask you. You're not going to get away with writing a paper when you go to a job interview. That's not what they care about. All right, that only works when you're on campus. When you crawl off that portal at the end of your program and you hit the streets, you're going to have to present yourself and be able to show that you've had applied training and that you can actually demonstrate. Because most of the times now, employers are going to ask you to actually demonstrate it, not just tell them about it, all right? It's a high probability that they'll slap a laptop down in front of you with a network cable and a power supply, and they're going to say, okay, I want you to install Linux, a Red Hat, onto this laptop, and then I want you to create me a virtual machine of Kali or Ubuntu or some other virtual machine on top of that install of Red Hat. Those are the kind of things they're going to ask you. All right, so you need to be prepared when you leave school, and that's why I have designed this course to give students the hands-on applied learning options as opposed to writing just another paper. Right? You have the option to write another paper if that's what you want to do. And I understand that some students are used to writing papers and they're not going to change gears in this course, right? And they're just going to keep on with what they know and, you know, get through this course by writing their papers and moving on. That's fine. Some of you are dying for some hands-on learning and you came to the right course. This is the right course. My 421 and my 422 courses are both nearly all hands-on if that's what you want. If you don't want that, well, then it's all writing. Okay, so there you go. All right, so make sure that when you come into the course room that you're going to look at the announcements and check for messages. I send out a lot of messages over the weeks with my expertise, about how to get a job, how to dress, what to look for jobs, what you can expect in the field of network security. I'm not going to talk about culinary. I'm not going to talk about housekeeping or hotel management. All right. I'm not going to talk about working in a slaughterhouse on a stun gun line. I'm not going to do none of that, right? I'm going to talk about working in cybersecurity and or technology in general, okay? So if you want to know how to get a job when you leave school, I'm probably the guy to ask, right? Because I hit the streets running when I graduated, and I know how I got my jobs, right? So I'll be talking about certifications, and I'll be talking about a lot of other fun stuff. All right. So we also have the quizzes. Each week you'll be doing quizzes. There's 8 of those starting in week 1. So make sure that you complete the quizzes. Let's see. If you need more time for any assignments or you have problems, you need to get a hold of me. And you can do that through the messaging. All right, just send me a message. Or you can send me an email. I don't care. Send me an email, send me a message. Send me up a smoke signal, whatever it takes, pop a flare, I don't care. If you need to get a hold of me, you can call me, right? My information is posted on the home page, so you can go there and you can find me. And there's my number, there's my email address. And by the way, we do have live office hours every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. So I'll be, first night of the course is on Monday. I will be online live from 7 to 8 p.m. And you can just come into Adobe Connect right here. Right, just go into Adobe Connect and you're just going to say join the meeting, and it's going to take you right into my online Adobe session And from there, you'll be able to ask me any question you want. All right? Okay. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Just remember, this course has options, and that's why you should be happy to be sitting in my course. All right. I'm out of here. This is Adobe Connect popping up here, and this is the meeting list. And this is what you're going to see. And you can just join the meeting. Okay, just like that. That's all you got to do. There's no username, no password, just join in. You're going to have to type in your name so I can address you properly on the first page, but aside from that, yeah, that's all that's required. All right. And again, 7 to 8 p.m. on Mondays of each week. Okay. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get a hold of me, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'm happy to be your instructor. Okay, and I'll see everybody in the discussions. Thank you.